Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is Albert Brulé, who is the new Chief Executive Officer of the United Way of Thunder Bay. Welcome, Albert.
Thank you, Steve. Pleasure to be here.
So, give us a little bit of background about yourself. You're new to the job.
Yeah.
Did you come from away, or?
Well, when you say come from away, it makes me think maybe I should be from Newfoundland. Not quite the case, but down east. I hail from London, Ontario, and I came up to join the United Way on September the 3rd. So, in terms of when we're chatting today, that's just a little over a month ago.
Yes.
So I'm still pretty new, both to that role and pretty much to the community. But very much enjoying it.
So tell us a little bit about your background, your education, or
Sure.
you have a family you brought, or?
So I brought my wife with me. She and I had actually been looking at Thunder Bay as our sort of next destination. Now you might ask the question, well, why is that? What would attract you to Thunder Bay? That takes me back to the point about education. So I mentioned I'm from London, but at the time that I was exploring post-secondary education opportunities, there were two post-secondary schools in Canada that offered the program or the discipline that I was interested in studying, which was arts administration. Mm-hmm. One was York University. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Down there in Metro Toronto somewhere.
A lovely school, I'm sure. And the other was Confederation College. So at that time, Confederation College had one of two programs all across Canada focused on arts admin, and I chose Confederation College, partly because it offered a co-op program, so you would study for a semester, do a semester of work, come back and study for another semester and another semester of work. And I thought, well, isn't that the way to get good hands-on learning and real-world experience? So I hopped on a train from London, came up to Thunder Bay.
When there still were trains.
When there was still a train coming to Thunder Bay, so you know how long ago that was. But I was, enrolled at the college. I credit the college and that program with having introduced me to what I would call now the sort of the not-for-profit or charitable sector experience that I've brought with me to the United Way. So I did start out doing arts admin, fundraising and communications, but went on to do work in post-secondary education, in healthcare, social services, international development, quite a wide array of charitable causes. And so, as I mentioned, my wife and I, we made some friendships basically through that program that have been with me for, most of my adult life. So we were coming back to Thunder Bay fairly regularly, visiting with friends. My daughter went to school here at Lakehead, so we brought her up. And so we've had this long-standing connection to Thunder Bay, and about a year and a half ago, the idea of moving to Thunder Bay was something that we wanted to explore. And then, as it turns out, there was an opportunity to apply my professional experience and our personal aspiration to be in Thunder Bay by my getting involved with the United Way Thunder Bay. So that's that circle for
Amazing.
you, if that makes sense.
Well, I feel like saying welcome home.
I'd like that. It very much feels like a home in the sense that so many of the relationships that I developed and have maintained over the years have that connection to Thunder Bay.
Excellent. So, Albert, tell us a little bit about the United Way of Thunder Bay.
Well, I hope most of your viewers would be familiar with the United Way concept and with United Way of Thunder Bay. We are part of a federated network of United Ways all across Canada. And so while I'm new to the United Way of Thunder Bay, I'm certainly familiar with the United Way movement, having been involved in different fundraising activities in other communities with connections to the United Way, whether they were funded agencies or as part of a workplace campaign doing fundraising for the United Way. So the United Way of Thunder Bay is very much aligned with the United Way movement, which began just around the end of World War I here in Canada.
So like 100 years.
Like 100 years, exactly. And it's evolved over time. It was intended to be a way to help raise funds for worthy causes in the community in a united fashion, so that there would be some efficiencies, some synergies there, that it would be more effective to raise money for a number of funded programs or agencies under this larger umbrella, help reduce fundraising costs for each of those organizations so that there's kind of sort of a more efficient way of raising that money. But I would say over time and in the last number of years, what some people may not be familiar with is how the United Way movement has elected to kind of alter its focus beyond just the fundraising side, but also on community impact. How can we ensure that the dollars raised are having the greatest impact possible? Are we addressing our community's most pressing needs? Are the dollars that people are donating being used to their best advantage? Are there ways to help organizations that deliver similar social services to partner with one another, or to collaborate, or to offer joint programs and services? So it's really expanded beyond just the fundraising to a more holistic, collaborative approach to ensuring that those who need help in our community can find the help that they need, when they need it, and where they need it. So really trying to tailor how our United Way works in collaboration or in partnership with agencies to provide that array of services, hopefully a seamless way in which clients can access those services, foster collaboration, and make sure that we're delivering, I guess, the greatest return on that charitable investment that donors are trusting the United Way to make available to the community in the most impactful way possible.
So if I understand right, so one of the core activities of United Way is to do fundraising for a number of community organizations and then divide up those funds. Is it all for charities? Does an organization have to be a charity to access fundraising through the United Way?
So that's a really great question, and it's one that we're actually reviewing as part of this new community impact plan that our board has drafted and is about to, I guess, officially endorse going into the coming year. We are a registered charity. Our funds do have to be distributed to other registered charities, but through collaboration, through partnerships, what we envision is that there are opportunities or ways in which perhaps another community organization that may not be a registered charity per se, but has an important program or service, they could work in partnership with.
We need to hold there for a minute.
Yes.
We need to take a little break, but we'll come back and find out more about the direction of the United Way of Thunder Bay. Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is Albert Brulé, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the United Way of Thunder Bay. Welcome back, Albert.
Thank you, Steve.
So we were just talking about the United Way is kind of going through kind of a review of what they're doing and looking at community impact.
Right.
So in terms of evaluating community impact, first you have to make clear what it is, what kind of impact you want to have, and then are we meeting that?
Right.
So what's the focus? What kind of impact does the United Way want to have in our community?
Right. So what our board has put forward, I mentioned our draft community impact plan that we're going to be rolling out. We're going to be introducing that to partner agencies, both those that we've funded in the past and perhaps new agencies that haven't received United Way funding before, but see themselves playing a role in addressing, as you point out, what are the impacts, what are the goals that we have in mind for our community impact plan. And I guess the short form would be to share with you that our number one focus, our number one priority is poverty. What we are hoping to do is to both alleviate where people are affected by poverty. How can we provide them a hand up? How can we help mitigate some of the negative impacts that families, children, individuals in our community are experiencing? But perhaps more importantly, are there root causes of poverty that we can direct support to bring together agencies, collaborate with other partners, whether it's different levels of government, possibly even the business community, as well as the not-for-profit community. How can we address some of these core issues surrounding poverty that are hurting not just the individuals that are directly affected by poverty, but it hurts business, it hurts quality of life, it can have a bearing on crime. All of these issues are intertwined. And so what we're really striving to do is improve the quality of life for all residents of our community by helping those who need the help and by hopefully breaking some of the cycles of poverty, some of those root causes that over time, and we'll be looking at various indicators of quality of life, whether it's the number of people who are experiencing mental health challenges or experiencing homelessness, experiencing food insecurity, whatever those measures are over the coming years, we want to be able to show results, show that we're having, moving the needle, I guess, is the way, if you think of a gauge that's able to track that we're going in the right direction with the programs that we're funding, with the agencies that we're partnering with.
And when do you expect that plan to be complete, the community impact plan that can be shared?
So we are going to be sharing it initially with partner agencies, with, as I mentioned, those that have received funding in the past and potential new partners that would like to contribute to helping us reach those goals. We're going to be hosting an information session, a kind of a community impact forum, if you will, towards the end of October. Thereafter, with some further input and with the board's official sanction or endorsement of that community impact plan, its intent is to be rolled out and in effect for 2020.
Okay. I mean, when you talk about poverty and some of the effects of poverty, so many questions really come into my mind. And you talk about the root causes. I had a guest on the show a little while ago who talked about, for Indigenous children, 65% of them never graduate from high school. So they come through the school system, and he's linking that to the prison population, to the homeless population, and to poverty.
Yes.
So you kind of go, okay, what does the United Way do about that? Do they lobby for better education? Do they provide education? Do they fund? And then some people say, well, poverty is just about income, right?
Well, no, and it's about opportunity, and that relates to education. So providing equal opportunity, equal access to education. So to be clear, the United Way is not a service delivery agent. We're not going to provide education, as an
Right.
example. What we would be looking to do would be to partner with those who are involved in the delivery of education, those who have programs and supports that might foster and encourage children to, make it all the way through school, whether that's a mentoring program, whether that's providing bursaries, however the system, and I'll use that word as the notion that we're all in this together, that we collectively look for creative solutions. There are a number of things that we've been perhaps doing for years that don't appear to be fixing the issue or changing some of those statistics. So what can we do differently? Can the United Way provide some resources from the community that have been entrusted to us? We will be recruiting a community impact advisory body that will have representation from partners, from the community, that will review requests for funding, applications for funding, so that we can assess where do we think we can have the biggest impact, where can we get the biggest bang for the buck, if you will, and helping children, for example, finish school, graduate from high school is one of those priorities that we will be directing resources to, because we believe it's so important. The link between education and employment, education and income, education and even health, all very, as I mentioned, intertwined, and we need to try and provide that sort of spectrum of programs and supports for all members of our community, children, young adults, families, possibly seniors, who also experience poverty. All of those kinds of ideas and programs will be encouraged and welcomed for us to review and to partner with. And of course, our ability to address those will be reliant on how well, we are able to bring the community together to help provide those funds, those donations from workplace campaigns, from sponsorships, from individuals donating because they believe in making Thunder Bay a stronger, healthier, more vibrant, more inclusive community.
There's so many issues here, but
Yeah.
we need to take another little break.
Already.
Already, oh my gosh. Please
Yeah.
stay with us and we'll find out in a little bit more detail about the United Way and how you can help make a difference in Thunder Bay. Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is Albert Brulé, who is the new Chief Executive Officer of the United Way of Thunder Bay. So Albert, the United Way has got a campaign on right now, Unignorable. What's with that? Tell me a little bit about that campaign.
Well, so that was a really creative and interesting idea that the United Way of Canada developed in partnership with a company called Pantone. If you're familiar with printing and Pantone colors,
Oh, okay.
they decided to come up with a new color that's actually called Unignorable. And it is meant to cut through the clutter. We see so many images, there's so much, busyness in our day-to-day life. But we wanted to make it clear that these issues related to poverty, whether it's homelessness, education, inequality, mental health, domestic violence, we can't afford to ignore these problems. They aren't going to go away. It's not somebody else's problem to deal with. It's ours as a community. And we need to get people's attention. So this new color is called Unignorable, and the campaign is called Unignorable, meaning what are the issues affecting children, families, individuals in our community that we don't want to ignore anymore, that we need to have those maybe difficult conversations. When you go to a cocktail party, maybe you don't think to talk about domestic violence or mental health or unemployment or homelessness. Those are not things that, they're not pleasant conversations, but we do need to talk about them. So that's what we're doing with our current campaign, is trying to raise awareness around issues that we can no longer afford to ignore, that we want people to realize by focusing on these issues, by getting involved with United Way, whether it's as a volunteer, a donor, an advocate, we can have an impact. We can help change these issues. We can help address these issues and make a difference, not just for the individuals affected, but for all of us as a community.
So Albert, how does that campaign on Unignorable fit in with the other campaign that we're familiar with, or many of us are, which is the fundraising? That's right in the midst right now. It's like September, October, November, or something like that is the...
That's our traditional campaign period, and so they're actually one and the same. The difference being that we are wanting people to both be aware, first of all, of these issues, and secondly, to take action. So making a donation, being an employee ambassador in the workplace to motivate and encourage your fellow employees to get involved in your workplace campaign. This is all part of our Unignorable campaign for this year and for next year, where it's not to say, obviously we're fundraising. We are encouraging people to contribute. We're encouraging them to perhaps dig even deeper than they have in the past, knowing that we are going to use those funds effectively. We're going to focus them on these core issues, and we'll be looking to report back on the impact that their donation has had. What is the difference that your dollar has made in the life of someone in our community through the programs and services that we've been able to support with those donations? So when we speak about the Unignorable campaign, we are also speaking about this time of year, the opportunity that you have. You might receive something in your mailbox. You might see something on Facebook. You might see an event promoted or advertised. You can partake. You can get involved. You can make a difference, and you can help address unignorable issues in Thunder Bay.
So you talk about volunteers being able to help out. I know at one point I went door to door for the United Way asking for donations. So, okay, I understand volunteers can help with the fundraising.
Yeah.
Is there other opportunities to help address those issues of poverty through the United Way as well, or the volunteers are really focused in on that fundraising campaign?
So in terms of our role for volunteers, it would be largely the fundraising.
Okay.
Possibly some other avenues of involvement. We have a board of directors. We have campaign cabinet volunteers. We have volunteers that will come into our office, whether it's to help answer phones, help us do mailings. There are a variety of roles, but in terms of, if you wanted to be, a service delivery or some sort of a volunteer, a mentor, deliver meals, serve meals, that would be more stepping up and maybe reaching out to one of the agencies with whom we partner to see if they have volunteer opportunities. So, in terms of addressing poverty, in terms of getting involved, obviously it's not just the United Way. We're part of this larger community. So there are multiple ways in which people can be active, can volunteer. So whether it's with your church, at your child's school, or with the United Way, we can all contribute and make a difference in that fashion.
So Albert, the United Way's got some interesting events coming up in November. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the really cool new ways in which we are engaging some of the younger sort of future community leaders in Thunder Bay is a program called Gen Next, and it's geared to sort of in the young people, I call them young people, they're in their 20s, their 30s, they're maybe starting their careers, they're looking for leadership opportunities, they're looking for volunteer opportunities, and they're going to be our future philanthropists, our future volunteers. They're organizing something called Let's Get Quizzical, which is a trivia night, November 7th at the Sleeping Giant Brewery. So teams come in, they obviously answer trivia questions, and they can win fabulous prizes. So that's lots of fun, and that information is available on our website.
So we're down to the last minute here.
Okay.
So if people want to find out more, what is that website? Where do people go to find out more about the United Way and activities that are coming up?
Sure, it's www.uwaytbay.ca. And all of the information about upcoming events, making a donation, volunteering, you can find all of that on our website.
Albert, thank you so much for coming on, and we may need to get you back to talk about that community impact plan once that's in place.
I would love that opportunity. Thank you, Steve. Enjoyed it.
Thank you very much to all of our audience, and we want to encourage you to come back again and stay safe.